Welcome to Nonsense Season 4, Episode 30, our big story. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm CJ Little.
This time we're looking at Cookware's Forever Chemical Reckoning. Up next.
I really don't want forever chemicals anywhere near my food. Is that, can we make that a thing?
Yes, but you're getting them if you're using nonstick pans, and that's the whole point of this episode. We're going to talk about nonstick pans. Do you have any nonstick pans?
I plead the fifth. No habla inglés.
Okay.
I literally texted my wife before we recorded and said, we have to get rid of all our pans. I've had these pans for like 25 years because I'm, as you know, cheap, and they have a lifetime warranty, and about every 5 years I just swap them out with more of the forever chemicals. So I've actually kept the forever chemicals going.
Okay, the toxic marketing war in your kitchen. Let's go.
I don't need any more wars in my kitchen.
You got some trouble at home?
I mean, you met my kids? Like they're always warring about something. His French fries bigger than mine.
The golden age of effortless food release is officially over. For decades, the cookware industry rode a profitable wave of polytetrafluoroethylene convenience, but a chemical reckoning has arrived. Driven by sweeping state bans and a tsunami of greenwash lawsuits, the billion-dollar non-stick market is fracturing into a bitter civil war. Legacy manufacturing giants are scrambling to reformulate complex global supply chains, while upstart eco-brands weaponize consumer anxiety to seize market share. As regulators demand total chemical transparency, the industry is discovering the hard way hiding behind clever nomenclature is no longer an option. The fight for your kitchen has turned toxic.
This is probably a good time for me to discuss my response to the what you called, I believe, the multi-billion-dollar non-stick bitter civil war, which I'm referring to as the Gettysburg Address. I feel like that's the best way to address it. No? See what I did there? 4 pans ago.
Let's say you're a chef.
I am a chef.
Let's say you're an omelet chef at a hotel omelet bar.
I'm an omelet chef.
Okay.
I'm whatever you want me to be.
You've been to 100 of these things.
Yes.
They all use nonstick pans. Yes?
No.
Yes, they do.
No.
Yes, they do.
If they're using a nonstick pan, you should run. I hope they're not using a nonstick pan.
I wish I had options.
Here's the problem.
Yeah.
In most commercial kitchens, you are not going to see nonstick pans for a variety of reasons. I think at omelet bars, you will occasionally. The reason being they can't rotate their pans.
I see them at the Four Seasons. I see them at the Ritz-Carlton. I see them at St. Regis.
Yeah.
This is not Motel 6 where I'm seeing Teflon pans.
Ironically, the Motel 6 uses stainless steel, but that's for a different day.
La Cosette. They've got lovely La Cosette at Motel 6. It's very nice.
Motel 6.
Quite unexpected.
Is actually an outlet for La Cosette. I know. Nobody ever really would have connected those dots, but that's how it worked. Omelets are interesting, and eggs especially, because eggs are just little blobs of protein. They love to stick to everything, which is what they love to do. So you'll see that. Yeah. Generally speaking, in commercial kitchens, though, you will not see nonstick pans.
I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about the omelet bar. That's my favorite thing in life.
There's really nothing else that you care about. You're like, as long as the omelet bar is okay, I'm fine.
As long as they cook the eggs well. Do not give me overcooked eggs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cook them properly. The hump on the curve of people who know how to make eggs is slid way to the left because most people cannot make eggs. They just torch eggs.
I do not want bits of rubber. Thank you.
Yes, not in my food.
Yeah,
that is not good. But I would argue that eggs are probably one of the biggest reasons why we ended up with Teflon lasting.
Of course,
in cookware.
Very sticky substance.
But that's not how it started, right? It didn't start with eggs or even with cookware at all, which is somewhat fascinating.
All right, let me set the ground rules, and then we'll get into how this all started. Because that's exactly where I'm going.
There's ground rules?
I got a bunch of questions for you.
Yep.
You have 2 minutes or under 2 minutes to answer each of them.
Under 2 minutes?
I'm holding a stopwatch. Are you ready?
I feel seen. All right, let's go.
How did we get stuck in this Teflon mess to begin with? Where did it come from?
So it was an accident. Most great inventions are, like the Post-it note, an accident.
Yes.
And it goes back to the late 30s, right? There's a chemist at DuPont. So let's be clear. It was not organic.
It's always a chemist at DuPont.
It's always a chemist at DuPont. That's where everything comes from.
All inventions.
And he was trying to invent a non-toxic refrigerant gas. That was the goal.
Sure.
And he froze a cylinder of some of this gas overnight. And the next morning, when he opened it, nothing came out. And yet the cylinder weighed the same.
Yeah.
So he's like, wait a minute, there was stuff in it. It didn't come out. It must still be in there somewhere.
It's now lining the cylinder.
And it was this weird, slippery white powder. And he was like, oh, well, what is this? I clearly have to start over. Nope. You just invented Teflon, buddy. Like this.
Yeah.
PTFE was what he invented.
Yeah.
By the way, I did not know this. It was initially a state secret because during World War II, scientists on the Manhattan Project needed a material that could withstand uranium hexafluoride, which is a super corrosive gas.
Yeah.
So they turned to Teflon. Teflon, which ultimately made it a state secret for years. And it wasn't until the 50s when a French engineer who was using Teflon to keep his fishing gear from tangling, his wife was like, oh, that'd be nice on the pans.
Can you get it on my pans?
I need more forever chemicals in my life, is what she said. That was a direct quote, just in French. And then, of course, it blew up in the U.S. when First Lady Jackie Kennedy was photographed leaving Macy's holding a Tefal pan. And that was in like 1961.
Yeah.
And then everybody had to have one, right? Just Tefal became all the rage.
Right.
It got to the point where they were like airlifting pans from France.
Tefal is the creation of the guy who made the fishing tackle, who then created the first pan.
Yes.
Tefal was his company.
Yeah, and it's a portmanteau of Teflon and aluminum, which I find amusing.
Yeah.
People believe that NASA invented it. They didn't. Remember, this was invented
long before NASA.
Decades before NASA even existed.
But they used it.
For years, we thought this stuff was made of absolute miracles. Unicorn blood, leprechaun tears. That's what we thought went into this.
Sure. The joke always was, if you have a Teflon pan and nothing sticks to it, how does the Teflon stick to the pan? And of course, sadly, the answer is not particularly well. You get it in your food all the time.
That is actually the answer.
Yeah.
The answer is you basically have to will it on there.
Okay. Tell me why it's considered undesirable. Why is it that we do not want this forever chemical? Because we do cool things with it. There's kind of a lot of cool things happen from Teflon.
Yes.
We make medical devices out of Teflon.
Yes.
There's all sorts of catheters and all sorts of other things.
Yes.
It's inert. Your body doesn't react to it in any way, so your body won't reject it.
Yeah.
Teflon has great uses. How come in pans this is a problem? Why in cookware do we not want that?
Also great in door locks. PTFE is an excellent dry lubricant in door locks.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Lovely stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, you just don't want to eat it. Like most lubricants, you don't want to eat it.
Okay.
Very few lubricants do we consider not just safe to eat, but delicious. And PTFE is not one of them.
Although there's a special section if you go to that store.
It's behind
where
the
they have
curtain.
the edible lubricants.
Yeah. Behind the beaded curtain. That's where all the good stuff is. You're like, oh, coconut. I'd like that. Is this a single serving for just me? Before we get into the safety profile, which is really the big issue here.
Okay.
From a gastronomic perspective, nonstick pans are terrible. They're just terrible. You can't get anything to stick to the pan. That's the whole point, right?
Yes.
So you can't form the fond, which is
hard
that
bits of food
that caramelize the brown bits, the stuff. And like if you're cooking a meat, you want this Maillard reaction. I'm mispronouncing that. It's French. Who knows? Okay. You want that to happen. It's very hard to get that because what you end up getting instead is this layer of steam and nothing sticks. So you get, it's like, it's not as bad as just microwaving something, but it's closer to microwave than to cooking in a pan. Mm-hmm. So that's not great. You can't use any high heat because any high heat, as we'll chat about, the PTFE vaporizes, which is harmful to you, your pets, and your food.
As a parrot owner, let me just say, it will kill your bird faster than you can blink.
I mean, this is canary in the coal mine sort of thing. Yeah, which is terrible. And this actually has an application in 3D printers. 3D printers use a form of PTFE tube they typically call a Bowden tube, and those get very hot because they touch the hot end of the 3D printer. If you get those things too hot with a Bowden tube, it'll just kill all the birds in your house like instantly. Ugh. The other thing, this is still the case, but especially with cheap pans, cheap nonstick pans that have cheap coatings on them, they're usually very thin aluminum, and they do a terrible job holding heat. Just terrible job. So they're just not great as cookware. That's not a function of the PTFE. It's a function of enabling a thinner pan because of the PTFE. Yeah. But those are all great reasons to not have one. Yeah. When you zoom in, though, the safety profile is even worse because effectively what you're getting is microplastics for dinner. If you get a scratch or an abrasive sponge, you just get this release of microplastics. And there was a study in 2022 that showed a Teflon pan can release upwards of 9,000 microplastics from one surface scratch.
So is the Teflon partially made of plastic? Why am I getting microplastics from Teflon?
Well, it kind of is a plastic, right? I mean, effectively the thing is a plastic.
It's a plastic you can take up to like 500 degrees.
Yeah.
Below 500 degrees.
You want to be on the underside, preferably below 500 degrees. That's why these things typically aren't, you won't see them say that they're broiler safe because it gets over 500 degrees in there. If you leave a nonstick pan, one of these PTFE, a Teflon coated pan on your stove, and you leave it in with nothing in it and it overheats, right? It gets over 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Mm-hmm. That PTFE basically vaporizes, right? It begins to pyrolyze.
You're going to make your whole family sick.
Yeah. And kill all the birds, as we mentioned earlier. You're going to get something that they call the Teflon flu.
Yeah.
Where you get chills, a fever, sore throat, headaches. It's really terrible. It's not what you want. And then making these things is even worse. This is sort of the other big problem is you get these byproducts from the manufacturing of these PTFE pans. Uh-huh. And those chemicals are forever chemicals. What that means is they never break down. Right. Like nature is literally not strong enough to break them down. So if they get inside you or an animal or anything else, they just stay there forever. You can't get rid of them. Yeah. So yeah, I would say the broader category, the PFAs are bad.
PFA's bad. I'm saying I'm writing down notes as you say
PFA's
these
bad.
things.
Yes.
PFA's bad. I got that. Excellent.
These are PFAs. These are bad.
I love me some good acronyms. Tell me what a PFA is.
Polyfluoroalkyl. Okay. Polyfluoroalkyl. fluoroalkali. There's a lot of vowels.
There's a reason you say PFAs.
And there's a sometimes vowel, but that's why we say PFA. I have never taken organic chemistry, so when it comes to chemistry, just forget
There's
it.
not one of these things that's a PFA.
Yes.
There are 10,000 of these things.
Tens of thousands of synthetic man-made chemicals that have been widely used since the 40s, right, in industrial and consumer products.
And as soon as we get the word out, don't put this in your food, they switch to another one of the 10,000.
No, exactly.
And it's all bad.
They're all bad. They're not even, and actually some of them are switching to we think might be worse.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're going to ban that one. No, we're going to go over to this one.
Yeah.
So the fact that these things, the strength in these, right, what makes these coatings super durable is that it's this carbon fluorine bond. And it's one of the strongest bonds literally in all of science.
In all chemistry, yeah.
And nature can't do anything with it. That's why we call them forever chemicals. They're in everything, by the way. Like these things are in everything. We're talking about cookware because I think it's the easiest one for us to sort of understand.
You can spray anything with it.
But like
absolutely.
Microwave popcorn bags.
Stop eating microwave popcorn. Those bags of microwave popcorn are terrible for you.
Fast food wrappers. Like if you've ever seen like that magic paper, you eat your fast food and you're like, the grease doesn't go through this paper. I wonder how it works.
Here's why.
Guess what? That's what it is. So it's so bad that we now find PFAs in the rainwater in Antarctica where there aren't people or waste, right? That water's made it down there. It's in the tissue of Arctic polar bears and the bloodstream of, wait for it, 97% of all humans.
Wow.
So pretty much every one of us.
You know where it's not? My dental floss.
Oh, good man.
It's in most dental flosses.
It's in some dental floss.
But if you're very, very careful and you pick your dental floss carefully, you can pick one that does not have PFAs.
And so these things bioaccumulate, right? That's the real problem with these forever chemicals is you can't flush them out as fast as you take them in. And then it leads to kidney and testicular cancer, thyroid disruption, liver damage, immune system suppression. It all rolls up into you. The regulation on this currently has been like whack-a-mole, as you were saying earlier. They're like, oh, we're going to ban this one specific chemical, but then you can change it, tweak it a little bit to be something different. You're like, oh, it's not banned anymore.
Call it something else, and now you're free to go. Yeah.
Well, I'd argue worse that the federal government's not doing much about this, but fortunately, there are a couple states that have been taking pretty aggressive initiative over the past few years to work on getting these things banned and pushed out of our
That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about California's AB 1200, the disclosure rules, and Maine's total PFA ban, and how are they effectively changing packaging standards? Because if these things pass, manufacturers do have to disclose what is on their pans.
So it depends on the state, right? This is part of the patchwork that's become what happens when states try to regulate this.
But are you going to package for 50 different states, or are you just going to sell just these pans in California and just these pans in Maine?
That's the output. So like, for example, in California, California has an outright banned all PFAs. They've banned PFAs in plant fiber food wrappers, but they've mandated that cookware brands explicitly disclose PFAs, right? That's what California has done. And it's outlawed the deceptive PFOA-free marketing claims, right? Which is like, oh, hey, we don't have any, we don't have that PFA. It's like, well, but there's 999,000 other ones that you could have.
Which you do have.
Exactly. You have at least some small number of. But this reminds me of what CARB did, 30 years ago. So CARB, this is the California Air Resource Board. And remember, California is a terrible over-legislated state that's, we can't live in.
No, it's unlivable.
Nobody can operate. You can't run a business. It's unlivable, yada, 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 yada.
If you don't live here, don't come by.
What CARB did.
If you do live here, lucky you.
30-ish plus years ago, they said, hey, we want to make sure that these cars have these catalytic converters and better emissions because we want our residents to be able to breathe the air and see more than 2 city blocks, which in the 50s in downtown LA, you could not see more than 1 or 2 city blocks.
Got a little rough.
They said if you want to sell a car in California, it has to meet these
standards.
It has to meet these standards, these qualifications. And manufacturers said, okay, we're going to make cars for everybody in all the states, and then we're going to make a California car. And they did this for a while. They made California cars. So when you bought a car, it had to be California compliant.
Sure.
That lasted a handful of years, and the car companies realized this is dumb. We're going to make all cars compliant. So we had this thing called 50 state cars. So for a while, they literally made vehicles called 50 state cars. You didn't have to have the California car in the other states. My very, pro-California stance is the rest of the country can thank California for pushing better air standards on the entire country.
Sure.
And that's not the thing anymore, right? Like now, and the EPA typically, not typically, but the EPA will follow on and adopt some of California's regulations, which is what's happened in this case. And we have better air as a result all over the country.
Talk to me about Maine. What's going on in Maine?
So while I see the same thing happening here with the PFAs in California, some states like Maine are going even farther. Maine has said that you cannot sell anything where you've added PFAs. I think what they're getting at is if there are PFAs already in it, which, big spoiler alert, it's already in everything.
Sure.
That's okay. But if you added it to something like cookware, cleaning products, cosmetics, they are banned, outright banned in Maine.
And that law's passed, right?
I believe that law is passed, and Minnesota as well. Minnesota is leading the charge with this as well.
Yeah.
They're phasing it in. I don't think they're completely phased out, which is the right thing. I think you need to have a period of time to get this done. Mm-hmm. But the point is they're saying just hard no.
It's a slow phase out. It's like until 2032.
So I can just tell you one quick little shortcut. If you're looking to buy cookware because your co-host insisted you do a show on nonstick cookware, and now you're going to replace all the cookware in your home,
sure.
So your family doesn't die. If you happen to be that person, and you are looking at cookware, and it says in small light gray italic print, not available in, and then a list of states.
Yeah.
That's not the cookware you want to buy.
Okay.
I was literally like, oh, not available in Minnesota and Maine. I wonder why.
Because they care that their people not get poisoned.
Yeah, the other states are okay. If you're in Texas, forget it.
With it, sure.
Alabama, fill your boots. So, but those states have moved in, and they're not the only ones, right? New Jersey, New Hampshire have moved on this. New York, Washington, Vermont. You're seeing all sorts of bans on this. I really do hope that we get some modicum of regulation at the federal level, because otherwise this patchwork is a mess.
Hey, we'll take it where we can get it.
You've got to start somewhere. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. You take what you can.
Yeah.
I just remodeled the bathroom, and there are special California fixtures for like the shower and all of these things. And it's like I had to special order the California version. By the way, the guy at the hardware store was more than willing to sell me out the back of the store the non-California version. Yeah. And I was like, no. Sure. I want to follow the California rules. Yeah. There's a reason we have these rules in place. We put these rules into place. They weren't put upon us. We chose, and they're for good reason.
My point is, you have states that are aggressively moving this out, and trying to push these out. However, it's a non-trivial problem because it's hard to communicate to the consumer what is safe and what isn't.
So the labeling that says PFOA-free is not going far enough. That's not telling us enough.
No,
because that's what I always see.
I would almost argue that that's worse, because now you actually don't know what you're getting. What you know you're not getting is the one thing that they're not supposed to put in.
Right.
But you don't know what else they've put in there.
9,999 other things that work just like it.
I think you got to go a little deeper than that. Really, if anything says non-stick, you probably don't want it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's where my current brain is. Yeah. Maybe I'm overreacting, but now you have all these brands that are doing this sort of greenwashing, right? They're advertising themselves as non-toxic, and they're saying, oh, hey, this is PFOA-free, and we're 100% non-toxic, and it's been incredibly misleading.
There's a class action lawsuit around this, right?
At least one of these that I know of has already been settled. It's like this linguistic trickery, right? You're just saying, oh, it doesn't have this thing in it. No, it's got all this other stuff in it, but it doesn't have that one thing in it. Hexclad, who's a brand that is relatively new-ish, you've seen around, they agreed to a $2.5 million settlement over allegations of false advertising regarding its quote, non-toxic and PFAS-free claims.
Sounds cheap.
I know. That was the first thing that I was like, oh, that seems pretty cheap. They have a permanent injunction against advertising any product as PFSA-free or PFOA-free or non-toxic. I don't think they just like leaned into it and they just call their pans toxic now. Like, I don't like, they should just maybe get Britney Spears. Like, she's got a song called Toxic. Like, why not just license that? Like, that seems like at this point, the jig is up, right? You might as well just lean in.
Accept what you make.
Accept what you make. Exactly. But it's had this effect. You have other class action lawsuits. There's one against KitchenAid and Analon. Yeah. The precedent, I think, is pretty clear that you can't use the, quote, literal truth about one chemical to hide the presence of a family of chemicals. And like, also, who thought that was a good idea? Like, did you go home at night feeling good about yourself when you decided to put that on your box?
Yes, because they thought, oh, we're going to make so much more money. We're going to sell great nonstick pans and people will never think we're using the same. And I alluded to this earlier, but like the attempts to make these PFAs safe aren't actually helping. We actually think it might be making it worse. Are short chain PFA alternatives any safer? No, they actually might be worse. Why? These, what we would call legacy long chain PFAs. Yeah. These ones that had like a molecular spine of 8 or more carbon atoms. Yeah. They were phased out due to these health scandals, right? And chemical companies engineered these short chain alternatives. Yeah. And they only have 4 to 6 carbons. Fantastic. So they must be better. It's those last 4 carbon atoms that were really doing the damage. This is the Gen X kind of stuff. Well, I don't want to throw it all into that bucket, but yeah, I mean, it's Gen X or PFBs, you'll see them called. Yeah. But here's the thing. The selling point was that, oh, well, you can flush these out of your body faster because now instead of taking
you can do it in weeks instead of years.
Fantastic.
Which is true. Again, that we think is true, but it ignores the reality of constant exposure. And now that they're everywhere, you're re-ingesting them through food and water. So now your organs never actually get a chance to get a break. You're just cycling through them faster.
Yeah.
And they're hard to get out of the water supply.
That's the fun of the forever chemicals.
Come on. Like, this is terrible. These might actually be worse. The better answer is to just not have either the long or the short chain. That to me is the better answer.
Yeah, sure.
Now, this is all doom and gloom, right? You're thinking like, oh, okay, what am I going to do for cookware? There are some nonstick alternatives, I'm putting nonstick in quotes, that are safer for humans and better to cook with.
Are there some sort of futuristic materials that are super safe? That's the question we're all wondering.
No, sort of no.
No. Okay.
Sort of no is really no is the answer.
So really I should just cook on air.
You really, from my observation, I'm no expert, but from my observation, there's really 3 things that you should be cooking on.
Okay.
Either stainless steel.
That's what I cook on.
And these are widely available, right? You'll commonly see
All-Clad.
3 or 5 ply. All-Clad's a great brand. Yeah. There are other brands too, but typically a 3-ply or a 5-ply. They sandwich a material in the middle, usually for better heat conductivity. It's usually be either copper or it'll be aluminum in most cases. Those are great. They're completely inert. It doesn't react with your food, and even stuff that's acidic like tomato sauce. It has 0 coatings, 0 PFAs. It handles super hot heat.
And I'm looking at induction stove, and they seem to work great on the induction stove.
Stainless steel is lovely. Stuff can stick to it badly if you mistreat the pans.
Stuff does stick to it.
Yeah.
Not can. Stuff does stick to it.
Well, I mean, if you use it right, like for example, if I'm doing a sear, like on a piece of fish or scallop or something, you have to use something like a stainless steel. It's going to get you the best bit of that fond.
Yeah.
But stainless steel is great. I love cast iron. I use a lot of cast iron. However, you have to be careful with cast iron for a handful of reasons. While you don't have to worry about damaging the pan from like a metal utensil, you do have to worry about what you cook in it, because with a cast iron, the surface you're cooking on isn't the actual iron itself per se. You've polymerized effectively fats and oils.
Old food, yes.
Yeah, so you never want to clean it with soap. You want to clean it with just hot water and a stiff brush. Yeah. And you can use hard utensils. That's fine, but you definitely do not want to use anything acidic inside the pan, because it'll rip off the layer that you've put on, and it'll also suck up the flavor, the metallic flavor.
Yeah, sure.
Which is not good. So like any spaghetti sauce or any sort of tomato sauce, you don't want in there. But the great thing is they're toxic free, and you can use them on campfires. Like if you ever have a cast iron pan that you've completely screwed up and burnt something in, you know how you clean it? You just throw it in the fire and leave it.
Burn it out.
Like you could warp it. You don't really want to do that because it gets super hot in there, but it will just literally char everything off, and you scrape it off and re-oil it.
You can get it really hot without damaging it.
Super hot. I mean, so if I'm doing steaks, I sear them exclusively on cast iron. Cast iron does a great job of retaining the heat too, so it radiates a lot of heat out, and it's really great for searing. The mid ground here on these are what you were referring to earlier at the top of the show, which is enameled cast iron. So that's cast iron.
This is what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
What about my La Crusette stuff? Does that work?
Yeah, La Crusette's not the only brand that does this. They are certainly the most popular. I have some La Crusette ware. I also have some Lodge. I have a lot. All my cast iron is Lodge. I also have some enameled Lodge, like Dutch ovens, and they're really good. They're heavy, like all cast iron.
Yeah, it's basically cast iron that's glass coated.
It's glass coated. Yeah, you basically coat it with sand, which gives you a handful of things. One, they bake it at a bajillion degrees to turn that sand into glass.
But they look beautiful.
They look beautiful. They last forever. They are cleanable. You really can't ruin them. They're not damaged by the constant heat cycling. They're really lovely. They're not what I would consider non-stick per se. You still have to use a fat to get it to release. Yeah. But you can literally go buy a set of La Crusette and plan on your grandkids owning them from you. Like you can just hand them down.
These things are made to last forever. By the way, this is what I was saying earlier. You need a moving company to lift them up out of the cupboard and put them on the stove.
Now, there's a learning curve to any of these. You're going to have to use a fat. You can't just drop an egg into a pan without a fat on it. Yeah. It's going to stick like crazy. So there's a little bit of a learning curve, but man, is it well worth it. And now you've got something that is much more durable and much safer for you and your family.
And a better tasting egg.
Yes, for sure.
You know what geckos are in Hawaii? Those little lizard-like things? They're called geckos. Yeah. They can literally walk up glass.
Yeah.
They can't walk up Teflon.
That's crazy. It's like the one thing they're like, nope.
That's how slick it is.
Not doing it.
And I'm going to answer the question that everyone has had since we started this episode. If Teflon does not stick to anything, how does it stick to the pan?
That is a great question.
They blast these metal pans so that it has this incredibly rough surface, craggy surface.
Porous surface,
and then they'll put this Teflon in it. They'll superheat it up so it melts into the cracks. It essentially locks itself into the surface of the pan.
Yeah, it's kind of more that it has like Stockholm syndrome than is really stuck to the pan.
Is that it?
It's just sort of trapped there. If you listen really closely to one of your Teflon pans, you can hear it screaming, trying to get away.
All right, that is the episode. We have to get out of here, but quickly before we do, have you seen or read anything good this last week?
Well, I'm ignoring the last week part. I would have liked to have read this again this past week. But given that we're talking, highlighting things in the kitchen that you didn't know and don't want to think about, namely your pans,
Sure.
I have to recommend one of my favorite reads of all time, which is Anthony Bourdain's Kitchen Confidential, Adventures in the Culinary Underbelly.
Sure.
It is an excellent book, and it remains the definitive adrenaline-fueled blueprint that permanently shattered the pristine food television illusion of the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun to read. I'm going to go read it again just from talking about it here.
He's imitating Hunter S. Thompson in his prose.
Yes.
But the things he's saying are not things Hunter S. Thompson.
Yes.
Hunter S. Thompson never talked about kitchens.
Yeah.
It was like for a brief moment we had two Hunter S. Thompsons.
And yes, and this was released when like celebrity chefs were treated like these polished saints, right? Like they looked like amazing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And Bourdain pulled back the curtain to reveal this like a grueling, often drug-fueled pirate ship subculture of like misfits and visionaries and thieves.
Thieves, especially thieves. These chefs who were taking the tips from their waiters and their cook staff.
Yes, it was terrible. It's this timeless, practical survival wisdom for diners. That was my other favorite part, is like most famously it warned the public to never order fish on a Monday because you're getting the fish from last week.
Of course.
But also treated the grueling, sweat-soaked labor of everyday line cooks with this profound, visceral respect, which they deserve.
Yeah.
For me, it functions less like a culinary memoir and more like an authentic, beautifully written love letter to the chaos of the kitchen.
Yeah.
And all the people that keep it running, which I had never really thought about much before reading that book.
Yeah.
I love to cook, as we've said many times in the show. People are like, why don't you open a restaurant? I'm like, no.
Oh, no.
That's way too much work, and I do fear would ruin the love of cooking. So the people that still do it and love to do it, I don't know how they do it. So anyway, Bourdain didn't just expose the industry's dark underbelly. He celebrated its burning passion, forever changing how I, and I expect everyone else who read it, view the people behind the plates. And I've had so much more respect for everyone from the front of house to the back of house.
It's an impossible business.
It is an impossible business. And to do it at scale, I mean...
Or they're laundering drug money. It's one or the other.
Or both. It could be both.
It doesn't
have to be one or the other. They're not mutually exclusive. Don't pigeonhole them. Anyway, that's Anthony Bourdain's 2007 Kitchen Confidential, Adventures in the Culinary Underbelly. Do read it. You'll rip through it in a day or two. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Man, I do miss that guy.
For sure.
How about you?
The 2014 film Chef, of course, which follows Carl Casper, played perfectly by Jon Favreau, a prominent Los Angeles chef stuck in a creative rut due to a controlling restaurant owner, played by Dustin Hoffman. After a disastrous review from food critic, played by Oliver Platt, leads to a public social meltdown, Carl loses his job. Prompted by his wealthy ex-wife, played by Sofia Vergara, Carl heads to Miami, where he gets a rundown food truck with the help of his loyal sous chef, played by John Leguizamo. Reconnecting with his estranged son, Carl launches an artisanal Cubano sandwich truck. Together, they drive cross-country back to LA using Twitter to spark a viral food frenzy, rediscovering his artistic passion and rebuilding his family along the way. I absolutely love this film. Chef, on Netflix now.
I don't think I know about this film.
Oh, and not only that, this spawned a spin-off series because Roy Choi was a consultant on the movie. In fact,
one of the
most delightful things. I'm not spoiling anything, but save for the end credits, you will see Roy Choi coaching Jon Favreau on how to make a grilled cheese sandwich. It's the most delightful scene. So this was so good, the two of them made another series, which is also on Netflix, which is all about chefing, and Roy Choi is teaching Jon Favreau all of these tricks of the kitchen and things. It's just marvelous.
That's amazing. No, I haven't even heard of this. I'm gonna have to go watch this.
So good. It's such a delightful movie.
This sounds great.
That is the episode.
Thank you for joining us for all this nonsense, a truly terrible podcast from The Awful Company. Visit the web at nonsense.productions. I'm CJ Little.
I'm Jeff Parker.
If you like this program, please follow, download, subscribe, and like at Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, AntennaPod, iHeartRadio, Spotify, my favorite Overcast, wherever you may get your podcasts from.
Nonsense uses the Arch Linux operating system with the KDE desktop for its editing systems. Infinite customization for maximum productivity with no ads and no bloatware. As always, open source and free.
You nerd. We'll be here maybe next Tuesday, maybe not. And every Thursday, we'll be here the occasional Tuesday and most Thursdays, depending on sports schedule and whether I got to go to school for more nonsense. Please join us on the days we happen to be here.
Subscribe, you'll find out. There's a lot of surprises. Sometimes we show up, sometimes we don't. Not that I'm against eating disgusting things. I'll have blue cheese all day long.
First of all, because I'm civilized, I don't live in the 60s, I just see cheese. I don't see color. I see some of the blue cheese. Can't we just call it cheese? It's just cheese. It's just a cheese. You don't have to label it because of its color, okay?